Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome to another lesson in working in VATSIM ATC for dummies. So I'm going to quickly talk about two-way radio communication and readbacks, because those are some things that can get a little bit confusing to those of us who aren't used to aviation and understand what's going on. So why do these things occur and what are they? Obviously, to talk to each other, you've got to use radio, and in most airspaces and so forth, that is a requirement. Even at the basic lowest level airspace, which we'll get into in airspace videos, two-way radio communication is the base level of understanding. And two-way radio communication simply means that each side has talked to each other and acknowledged who they are and acknowledged that they understand who they are. A pilot's going to call in with a call sign to the airport, something like Charlotte Ground Delta 1356, request taxi instructions. You then will acknowledge that you've received the information, Delta 1356, Charlotte Ground, and then you provide them the instructions. Sometimes they'll simply call in to verify that they can hear you and you can hear them. So they'll simply do a radio check, and then you would come back simply and say Delta 1356, Charlotte Ground, loud and clear. And once you've done those things at that level, you've established two-way radio communication. Once you're talking further, you don't necessarily constantly have to identify yourself. You're going to want to lead with who you're talking to, because sometimes you'll have multiple planes on the ground, so you're always going to want to use their call sign, but you don't have to re-identify yourself, because at that point they've heard you, they should know your voice well enough, and they're going to be just talking on one frequency. They're not switching back and forth. So for the pilot, they're just hearing you. They will hear you talking to other planes, because you're doing that job on one frequency. So that's why it's important to still identify yourself and them to identify themselves when they're calling back, but you no longer have to say what position you're at anymore. As far as readback, that goes back to the fact that we're talking over radios, and sometimes it's hard to understand. You simply want to make sure that they understood correctly, so there's an expected process that there's a readback of the information that was provided, and you then simply indicate readback correct to them. So that gives you a very brief explanation of two-way radio communications, readback, and what it is and the whys. Hopefully that'll help you along in your journey as you work to become a controller on VATSIM, especially if you're coming in here with a non-aviation background, which is what this series is particularly built for. If you've enjoyed this video and not dropped a like, please consider doing that. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, please consider that, and I will see you next time.